this is quite a good bow curve, this curve. And again, I apologise if the word's a little, it's a picture that I've used here. I couldn't get it any wider on the screen. It's something that I've used before. It's not new, and it's quite famous actually. You've got the name at the top, the name of the model up there. But what you've got is you've got ability to cope down the left-hand side here. So you've got less ability down the bottom, more ability across the top. And then across the bottom, you've got pressure levels, okay? So, and this is interesting because when pressure turns to stress, because in my opinion, pressure and stress are two different things, this all calls it pressure. So if you're on this side of the model, you've got less pressure. If you're on this side of the model, you've got more pressure. So you can see how this bow curve starts to work. So remember, ability to cope, more higher, less lower, and then pressure less to more left to right, okay? So, what you've got down here with low ability to cope and less no pressure is you've got, it's called rust out. Frustration, boredom, yeah, so you've got all this type of stuff, under-involved. Then the pressure really starts to take over and your ability to cope starts to increase. So then you have words like stimulated and alert, decisive, creative, effective, and then optimum. So on all the studies that are done, if you put people under optimum pressure with some tools to be able to cope with that pressure, that's where you want to be on this curve. And a few people have been up and down this curve over the different stages of pandemic that we've been through, but this is the optimum amount. No pressure on people, no good. People just get bored. People won't do what they need. People need a bit of pressure. They need to aim for a little bit higher than they've got. But after pressure passes optimum, their ability to cope starts to drop. And I'm not just talking about the pressure that your job puts on you, because I'm sure you all have your own levels of pressure that your job puts on you. But the reason I brought this up, because remember I'm linking it to compassion fatigue, is the pressure the pandemic and the way the world is putting on people, okay? I felt the pressure of the pandemic went past a tipping point for me just over Christmas, and the reason for that was I went to visit my mum. I wasn't going to go in. It was just my sister wasn't very well. They're in the same bubble because my sister's a single parent. So my mum and my sister, she needed some milk. I said, I'll go and get it for you. Obviously didn't see them, and I haven't seen my family since March. And my mum was visibly upset about my sister, and I couldn't give her a hug. And for me, that then increased the pressure of the pandemic. And I know it might sound like a little thing, but it's these little things that are making people's compassion really start to drop, especially with people that are perceiving to break the rules for argument's sense. So once you get past an optimum pressure level, and I know one of the questions in your head might be, well, what is the optimum pressure level? That is different for everybody. We all have slightly different optimum pressure levels. Some people want loads of it. Some people their curve is a little bit smaller. Yeah, some people's curves may be a little bit bigger. So it's optimum to you, but once we pass that optimum level, our ability to cope starts to drop at that point. And I think this is where the pressure of the pandemic is making people's ability to cope drop off, which is obviously affecting compassion or generating compassion fatigue as well. So past optimum, reduced efficiency, reduced creativity, reduced alertness, overload, difficulty concentrating, indecisive, irritable, there's your lack of compassion straight away, anxious, confused, I know a few people like that, confused, fatigue, exhaustion, burnout. So compassion fatigue is really down this end, okay? So if you are noticing people with compassion fatigue, you might find, do you know what? The pressure of the pandemic's getting to them. The pressure of working at home is getting to them. The pressure of still delivering with children at home is getting to them. And so on, and so on, and so on. And we want to be able to help these people, don't we? Which is why I think I've got about 8 top tips for you to take away anyway with these things. So I like that. Just generally, even if you weren't talking about pandemic, this is a bell curve that I've used before. We know optimum pressure is good. And your ability to cope, you're firing on all cylinders, you're ticking all the boxes, and so on and so on and so on. And then when that pressure is perceived to be past optimum, we start to drop down this curve, okay?